Hello, I'm Nathan Judo. I'm here with Wolves reporter Mr. Joe Edwards from a cold and windy Compton Park.
Just a bit, yeah.
Just a little bit. Just heard from Nuno, but he warmed the cockles of our heart in the Christmas spirit. Nuno's always Nuno, isn't he, to be fair? He's got a lot on his plate, but he graced us with a few minutes of his presence, and we assessed the next upcoming couple of games. Look, let's talk about schedule, because we've heard from him before about this, but he's still very frustrated at the two games and the time these players have got to recover.
Yeah, time hasn't been a healer for Nuno. When these games were first announced, Man City on the 27th and Liverpool on the 29th, he wasn't a happy bunny.
No.
And he still isn't. He says basically it's absurd that Wolves are playing the Premier League champions and the seemingly champions-elect, in the space of 45 hours. Which, I mean,
it's not great, is it? At the best of times, I mean, you could think of easier games to play where you think, okay, well, one of them is winnable, but goodness me, I mean, these are the two toughest tests in the Premier League.
Exactly, and it kind of gives Nuno a bit of a selection pause, doesn't it? Because you're thinking two games in such a short space of time against such a calibre of opponent. Do you mix things up a little bit for one, and then go full strength for the other? But Nuno, fair play to him, kind of stuck to his guns and kind of said that we're going to go full strength pretty well, without kind of saying it in bold terms, like pretty much implied that Wolves are going to go at full strength against City, and then just see how the cards are lying, going into that Liverpool game.
Because look, I mean, players want to play at the same time, and although it's frustrating that they have got very little time to recover, at the same time, these are two great games that all the best players, everyone wants to play. These are the two biggest games on the calendar. So from their point of view, they'll want to play as well. And like you say, it's just about counting bodies. You'd have thought after Manchester City. Would you say that one game is more attainable for points than the other, or do you think it's just horses for courses?
I think if you're being really analytical about it, I think you could say that the Man City game is the one that you're more likely to get something from. Wolves have been pretty good at home for a while now. Obviously beat City away. And it's whether Pep's side, I don't think they will, based on what we saw of him at the weekend, but there is an element, I guess, of him being in danger of perhaps downing tools and kind of saying, oh, well, we can't catch Liverpool. I don't think they will, but I think maybe that one out of the Liverpool game, especially being at home, even though it's on Boxing Day, so it's 27th, you want to kind of give the home fans something to shout about. So maybe that's the one where you go a little bit stronger, and then depending on how they come through that, maybe rest one or two, maybe your Ruben Vinagre's come in, Pedro Neto maybe at Liverpool.
Yeah, Patrick Cutrone as well, another one who's just bombed out with his Christmas hat on, Christmas cracker hat on, big smile on his face, and he'll be one who'll be looking to get a chance over this festive period. And of course, another goal will get that confidence back.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, we spoke about it. We was having a walk to the car, weren't we? In Norwich,
leisurely walk to the car
after the game, and it's. You look at his appearance to goals record, he doesn't make for great reading. He obviously came off the bench for a matter of seconds at Carrow Road. But I've obviously been looking at the stats. Nathan Judah here, been looking at the stats, and you look at him compared to Haller, Joe Linton, Wesley,
Keane,
some of the other big name summer signings, and in terms of goals per money you paid, he comes out on top of the lot. He hasn't blown anyone away really, but I think there's been enough promise to say that he can become a good player for Wolves in the future, and hopefully, as you say, maybe a goal over this festive period could really get him in the mood.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you say, he's going to have a lot of appearances when it comes down to looking at the stats, but most of them are from the bench. All these other big money signings have all started. They've all been the main men, and they've got 70, 80, 90 minutes every single week. So the fact that Cutrone's had to do it and pick up scraps and get the odd start here and there, very difficult to get going. And if he does get a start against Liverpool or Manchester City, then that's going to do him the world of good, and fingers crossed he can get that goal.
Yeah, I mean, he looked alright against City in that reverse fixture, didn't he? He had that one-on-one where he went through and put it wide, and I think that kind of set him back for
Here we go.
Matt Doherty, I believe.
Doherty. Unless anyone else has got Doc as his number plate.
Yeah.
Maybe the medic. Maybe the doc, Big subwoofer in there, I love that.
But yeah, kind of showing off for the camera there. What were we saying? Patrick Cutrone. If he can get a goal, great. But Raul Jimenez, of course, getting the winner at Carrow Road. Had a couple of not iffy weeks, but kind of slightly below the standard that we saw from him. So I think that goal as well will do him good.
You can see him. You can see Raul potentially getting arrested in one of the two games. I think that's a decent assumption to make. Look, sixth in the table. That second half comeback was huge. Not only because of it's great to get a win, but with these two games coming up now, if you can get points in both of the games, of course, amazing. But one of the games, and you never know, even sneak a win in one of them, then that's absolutely fantastic. But it's not the end of the world. They play without pressure too much. Wolves that can enjoy it and really express themselves.
Yeah, I think I said it in a debrief today that I think despite how well Wolves have done and the fact that they beat City away, I think anything from these two games is a bonus. It's got to be considered a bonus. And the win at Norwich obviously gives you a much more comfortable footing. You're looking at that game at Watford on New Year's Day, where you want to be winning that, especially with the history with Watford as well. So anything from these two games, I mean, if they can win one of the two, fantastic.
Yeah.
If they can get a point from one of the two, I think that's pretty respectable as well.
Look, City full of talent up and down the pitch. I guess looking at their team, if you're going to get at them, and the central defence has been the problem this year. Obviously with Laporte being out, and at the same time Aguero's back in, but Jesus has been doing pretty well. I mean, look, you can name it. They're all going to be world-class players when you're playing against, but you just got to be on it on the day, basically.
Yeah, it's the middle of the park, isn't it, where City's main strength is. I mean, Kevin De Bruyne's been absolutely sensational recently, and you do kind of look at it and think, could Wolves potentially go free in midfield to kind of nullify that? My heart kind of, and my inkling is that the one that they'll stick to the guns, but I think it's something to be wary of. Kevin De Bruyne really been sensational as of late, scoring goals, setting up goals, so it's going to be a tough game, isn't it? And Liverpool after that will be tough as well.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Myself, Joe and Rosie will be at the game against Manchester City on the 27th. For all the build-up on that one, make sure you log on to expressandStar.com.